came with the final result.
Under paragraph 25 of the Chairman Chebukati's replying affidavit, he has glossed over that weighty issue. He does not consider that 27 constituencies, which makes about 10% of the Kenyan constituencies, which translates to about 1.9 elected voters, were not included in the final tally. In his replying affidavit, he technically avoids the use of the word declaration and uses the word announcement.
Oho maugite kumana na ugondereru wa IEBC kuhariria githurano na njira irarumirira watho, Chebukati nowe waniriire gutirio kwa ithurano kaunti-ini cia Kakamega na Mombasa na icigo-ini inya cia ubunge hamwe na wodi-ini igiri, makiuga ekire uguo niguo kunyihia namba cia aikia a kura kuria Raila Odinga anyitagwo mbaru.
The suppression of voter turnout and voters being disenfranchised. The national tally that was stated by the chairperson was 65.4% or thereabouts. In Mombasa, where there was no gubernatorial election, and that you can work out from simple mathematics as to the number of people who showed up vis-a-vis the number of people, the voter turnout was 44%. In Kakamega, with a national tally of 65.4%, the total number of voter turnout was 57%. Those two counties were way below the national tally.
The cancellation of the votes of the election in the strongholds of the first petitioner was deliberate because the reasons given by the IEBC or the chairperson are not borne out by the statutory provisions for cancellation of the election.
We have to stop those people who do not take those steps, but who take the benefit of those steps. And those people who take the benefit of the steps which the Constitution itself says is unlawful cannot take public office on the basis of a false 34C, 34D.
Mwena wa thitango ukirekereria gutamania uira wao na kuonia igoti uria githurano kiu gitarumirire watho. Aramithi ino ni muthenya wa athitango gwitetera. Handu-ini ha Inooro TV, njitagwo Harun Njoroge wa Maina.
Acirithania a igoti tugiru riu ni marenda kumenya riria makomishona a komishoni ya githurano na mihaka maumukanirwo mbere ya ngarari ciao ciumire king'ang'a-ini. Mucirithania munene Martha Koome ni oritie wakiri aria marugamirire komishona na aregani mataririe kana he marungo ma mehariria ma githurano makoretwo magitikaniria na aruna ao niguo igoti rimenye haria roi rwaunire. Mucirithania nake Isaac Lenaora ni ugite ati tondu komishona aya ni monekanite magithoma maumirira ma githurano gia giturwa gia president magirire gutariria ni ha monire ta watho wambiriirie kwagararwo na makiamukanwo na aruna a watatu matongoretio ni muikariri giti wa commission ya IEBC Wafula Chebukati. Mucirithania Smoking Wanjala nake ni arenda guthererio kiria giatumire commissioner aya mangatherie wira mawira maria mahetwo ni Chebukati kunyita kana makunyararithia ofisi ciao ta kunyita ageni adogeni aria mokaga kuria Bomas uria mangetheire thabari ya mwisho ya kwanirira maumirira.
The results of the plenary in Bomas. We really want to understand, like the Vice President is asking, when did the commission become so dysfunctional? We really want to understand that. Is there a stage where they were working together in tallying and verifying, and then they went and announced, and then suddenly there was a stoppage because the announcements also stopped streaming live? So we really want to understand that.
And this could also go to the other council appearing for the commissioners. You've raised many issues going way back before the election. the Venezuelans, mistreatment by the chairman, we're not allowed to do this and that. But we saw your clans in public reading out results. And that's what I'm calling my acquiescence question. They did all these things until the 11th hour. What evidence do we have that it's not an afterthought, that they're not doing this in good faith? What evidence do we have apart from the question of the instructions to cancel, the meeting they called? Why do we have anything showing that for the last 3-4 months they documented these grievances and that there was therefore a storm brewing? My own sense of things is that when you come only at the point of final declaration, how then do we trust that in fact there were issues before?
Then let's get back to the 4 commissioners, because this is serious. We were informed by, I think this must have been Mr. Nyamodi, quite graphically, that the 4 commissioners were allocated roles other than those for which they were appointed as commissioners. Some were heads of protocol, I think others were media, welfare. Interesting stuff here, allocating such roles to commissioners. Why didn't they protest? Is this chairperson we are dealing with such a terror that nobody can face him and tell him you can't do this? Because now what we are hearing, these are serious disclosures.
My next question was to Philip Murgo. I was drawing a chart when you explained to us that what you're telling us is that in the evidence that you have is that the Form 34 went into the KIMS kit at the polling station to the constituency. Then between the constituency and the public portal, the Form 38's numbers were changed. They were changed in that sequence, if I'm to understand you. Now, I don't understand much about ICT, but I presume that at the polling station, when the KIMS kit takes the image, these forms are written in handwriting. How can you explain then, so that I can understand, how a form can be changed in handwriting?
The postponement of elections in certain areas, and you say this resulted in voter suppression. That people wake up one morning to go and vote for a particular category of candidates, that I go to the voting or polling station to vote for an MCA, or is it called MC? That people go to vote for a senator but not the other positions. Do we have any scientific nexus on this, or is it just an assumption that this happens?
And if an election is to be ordered to be done now, yet one of the reliefs you are seeking is that the chair and substantially the commission, but effectively the chair, you want us to hold him or to declare that he is not fit to hold public office because of his malfeasance, because of his the illegalities, irregularities, even allegations of fraud that he has perpetrated, that is not fit to carry out that exercise, to be in charge of such elections. Our Constitution, I believe, has never contemplated and envisaged such a serious situation, such a lacuna. And you know, we are all peaceful, loving people. We believe in the rule of law. We believe in constitutionalism. How is that possible? What are your proposals practically on the ground, if suppose this was done?
What is to be done as a corrective measure against the chair of this dysfunctional commission? And is it to ignore the constitutional procedures and safeguards that are already in place.
Tabeto homuke ohanini tuno ni turashoka tuthie na mbere na mohoro mangi.
Manze ukipata chance kutesa tesa, life ni short, maisha uisa man. Wewe mi utesa nikipata chance.
Okay. Nini hebu nione. Ziko kwa masikio.
Wewe akangu sangwi.